I'm Catherine, 67, sitting in my new condo, sipping champagne with my son, Mark. I can't help but reflect on the storm that has passed. Just a few months ago, my life was in shambles, torn apart by the betrayal of my daughter-in-law, Lily. It all came to a head one Sunday evening. Mark and Lily arrived at my house for dinner, just like they always did. Lily was all smiles, wearing a new designer dress that I now knew was bought with my stolen money. As we sat down to dinner, she talked about their amazing trip to Rome, describing the luxury hotels and shopping sprees in vivid detail. But when I casually mentioned that I'd been reviewing some financial statements and found some unusual charges, the atmosphere in the room changed instantly. Lily's fork paused halfway to her mouth, but she quickly regained her composure. "Oh, what kind of charges?" she asked, feigning innocence. Mark, looking a bit tired and stressed, also turned to me. I took a deep breath and said, "Credit card purchases. I don't remember making such large amounts." Lily immediately claimed that I'd given her permission to use my card for their anniversary trip. "Surely you remember, Catherine. You were so excited about surprising us," she said, her voice sickly sweet. But this time, I was ready. I pulled out a folder from the sideboard and spread the statements across the table. "The card you used wasn't one of my personal credit cards. It was the business card of Thompson Associates, the marketing firm your father and I built together 25 years ago," I explained. Mark's face went pale. "Mom, I thought the business was winding down," he said. I nodded. "It was, but it's not dissolved yet. Every purchase on the company account has to be a legitimate business expense. Can you explain how a luxury suite in Rome and all those designer clothes qualify as business expenses?" Lily's composure finally cracked. "This is ridiculous." "It was just a mix-up," she snapped. But Mark was starting to see through her lies. He looked at her with a newfound coldness in his eyes. I then pulled out my phone and showed them the photos I'd taken from Lily's study. There were documents detailing her plan to gain full access to my assets within 18 months. "You were planning to take everything, not just from me, but from Mark too," I said, my voice steady. "Mark's love for Lily died right then and there. You've been lying to me for years, making me think Mom was getting forgetful. You turned me against my own mother," he said, his voice filled with anger and betrayal. Lily became desperate. "She has so much money, and we were struggling. I was doing it for our future," she pleaded. But it was too late. I told them that I'd spoken with our company's legal team. The fraud report hadn't been filed yet, and the charges could be resolved as a family matter if Lily agreed to certain conditions. First, she had to return every item purchased with company funds. Second, she had to sign a promissory note for the full amount stolen, plus interest and penalties, to be repaid over 5 years. And finally, she had to agree to have no contact with me in the future. Lily was furious. "You're trying to destroy me," she shouted. But I stood my ground. "You destroyed yourself, Lily. I'm just making sure you can't hurt anyone else," I replied. She had 48 hours to decide. If she refused, I'd file the fraud report, and she'd face federal charges. In the end, she signed the agreements, though she left with a bitter threat that I'd regret it. Looking back, I realize how blind I'd been. After my husband, Robert, passed away from a heart attack 4 years ago, I was lost. Mark got married to Lily, and I was so desperate to be part of his new life that I ignored all the warning signs. Lily was always subtle in her manipulations. At their wedding, she somehow forgot to save me a seat at the family table. I spent the reception sitting with Robert's old friends. When I mentioned it to Mark later, he just said it was an oversight. Over the years, she'd make comments about my house being old-fashioned, and I even considered renovating. She'd reorganize my purse when I was in the bathroom and then make a show of how confused everything was. She'd also start speaking louder to me in public, as if I were hard of hearing. And there were the financial probes, always wrapped in concern. I'd resisted some of her suggestions, but I was slowly wearing down. I was so afraid of losing Mark that I kept quiet. But then came the credit card theft. The first time I saw the bill for $55,000 in jewelry and a trip to Rome, I was in shock. I couldn't believe that someone I'd tried so hard to love had betrayed me like this. After that fateful dinner, Mark moved back into his childhood bedroom. He was heartbroken but also relieved to finally see the truth. We worked together to sort through the mess. Lily paid back every cent with interest, and the business account was officially closed. Now, as I look out at the harbor from my condo, I feel a sense of peace. I've sold my old house, the place filled with both good and bad memories. Mark has a new job at a great firm, and he's starting to rebuild his life. I've also made new friends. I joined a book club and a painting class, and I'm finally living a life that's truly mine. Lily has moved away, probably looking for her next victim. But I'm no longer the vulnerable widow she once thought I was. I've learned my lesson, and I'm ready to embrace whatever comes next. What would you do if you were in my place? Have you ever faced a similar betrayal?
Comment below.
And thank you for listening to my story.